When we're live.
Sorry, guys.
Nothing to be sorry. We're good. We're live. Okay. Let me close this window. We are back again. Let's do we're getting into the evening hours. We've been going at this a while. We'll go around the room. I'm Jason Walker.
Scott Johansson.
Steve Riojas.
And with us is the modern medical miracle, Dan Colonna. Thanks for joining us, Dan.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
If you don't know who Dan is, he's an amazing painter, amazing builder, amazing modeler. And that's how I met him, is through Amazing Modeler. And we were judging partners for many, many years at Wonderfest. And it's, it's weird not being there doing that. So how you been, Dan?
Been pretty good. Things are, I spent the last year, well, I've been back long before the whole virus broke out over there, but I spent a year in Italy, which was nice, just to get a break. And but I'm back home and just moved to North Carolina now, so I'm in the Asheville area. But don't care to ever see Florida again.
Are there as many stories of that start with Florida man did or Florida man robbed this or?
Yeah. They're everywhere.
Okay.
It's the Florida man story.
they escape up north.
I think it's just one guy.
Wait, are you in the same state as Crazy Joe now?
Oh shit, he's in North Carolina.
Is he in North or South?
No, he's in North.
He's in North?
He's in North.
Right!
Yeah. Hey, why don't you give us your address, Dan, and we'll make sure he comes over. Sorry.
No. Sorry.
He'll be on next, so we're going to bust his balls later.
Yeah, sorry, Crazy Joe. I don't want you anywhere near me.
Get away from me, Joe.
So
things haven't changed.
We're specifically kind of talking about Wonderfest today. That's how I've met every single one of you, and I think this is the closest thing. If we had Lance Woods in here and a couple other people and Thad and Matt, this would be the crew that I hang out with the most at Wonderfest. So I miss you guys to have you all on the screen at the same time. And Thad, Matt and Thad will be later, and Lance. But then Lance,
cool.
Is Lance going to show up?
I'm gonna try and bring him on later. I haven't told him yet though, so we'll see. I'm gonna try and bring him on.
Almost said hey.
What was your first Wonderfest, Dan?
Actually, Steve and I shared a room without even knowing each other. But back in the AOL days, we were both friends with Anthony Mestes, who I think was on here earlier, right?
Yep. Was this a Gremlins meeting? Because we've done a lot of Gremlins chat.
We
that
did
was like AOL, right?
Yeah, that was AOL. I mean, we were all on Gremlins at the same time, but I had shown Anthony, I'd sent them some pics of some of the dioramas I was doing, and then he thought they were pretty cool, and then we were getting ready to go to Wonderfest. I'm like, I can't afford a room. I'm like, you want to share? He's like, I'm already sharing with somebody. I'm like, anybody else? He's like, well, my friend Steve's never gone either, so I put you guys in touch. So it was just an AOL chat, and looking for each other in the lobby of the Louisville hotel, and we were the two awkward guys standing around until we started knowing people. So it was nice. But that was, I think, 96. Is that right, Steve?
No. See, I always thought it was 99, but I'm not.
Yes. Steve's first one was 99, I think. Yeah.
I think it was earlier than that.
Was it?
I think so, because I remember looking at the contest winners over the page. It had like the whole backlist of all the gold medals for the contest from like the beginning, the current to back at the beginning. And I know you won a couple of golds, and I think I won one. Steve. So, anyways, we went up to the room, and Steve starts unpacking these boxes. They had an awesome Fritz diorama.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Yeah, you had two, right? Something else you did?
I had that dinosaur too.
Oh, okay, that's right. But the Dinosaur King.
That's when
Joe.
Yeah, that's when I thrown Crazy Joe. He'll have something to say about that.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah,
just joking, Joe.
He'll have something to say about everything. But
well, he's been drinking vodka and tonics all day, so I'm sure he will. Yes.
Yeah. But no, it was a fun show. I couldn't believe I'm walking in. I got enough money for food and beer, and every time I turn around, I see Steve running back to the room with a big stack of kits. Each time the bottom kit was a Janus kit, and then he had a stack of all these other monsters. And
Crazy.
I'm like, what the hell's going on with this guy? But
I know it
ever
costs a
since
fortune to send them home.
yeah, I bet. So, but ever since then, Steve and I've been pretty tight. So, good guy. So, we did.
Go ahead, Steve.
We did. Go ahead.
Oh, I just, do you remember you and I just in the bar, we got a table off to the side, started drinking, and there's so-and-so, there's so-and-so, there's that. Remember him? Yeah, that's that guy.
Exactly. So, yeah, it was.
How did you get into all this, Dan? Like, what was your first garage kit memory? Like, what was the?
Okay, so when I was younger, I painted. I did a couple of the reissues. I think the monogram reissues of the Aurora kits, and I painted a few of those. And then I started doing a lot of military miniatures, like dioramas and that. From there, I hit high school, and it's screw all that. So played in some bands and just everything else. And then I'm like, you know what? I want to get back into painting, and I wanted to do something dimensional. So I started sculpting some stuff. And around that same time, I had a subscription to Airbrush Action magazine, and I opened up the new issue, and there was an article with David Fisher in there, and he just had a whole wall of all these like classic monsters. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I found a store in Central Florida that had a bunch of kits there, and I bought the Horizon Frankenstein was the first one I bought.
Hey, is this your issue, Dan? Is this the issue you had?
That's the one.
That's the one.
Yeah,
that's it.
Look at Johansson, Mr. Librarian today.
Yeah. His Dewey Decimal System.
That's right.
But so yeah, after that, I just started doing a lot of, like all of us, trade. I showed the store the Frankenstein I did. They really liked it, and they gave me the Horizon Hulk. Said, "Can you paint this for us, and we'll give you whatever vinyl kit you want." So it was kind of painting a Horizon kit, getting a Horizon kit, and after a while, I'm like, they got the my first resin kit was the Alex the Vampire, Mike Ellis, or what is his name?
The Spectral Motion one?
Yeah, Spectral Motion. So I'm like $100. I'm like, oh Jesus, that's such a beautiful piece, but I can never afford that. So I think I painted like 3 vinyl kits in trade for it, But after that, once I discovered Future, nobody carried them except for there was a store that had a bunch of their knockoffs. But what was it, Soul, the company that had all the Japanese knockoff kits. But I'm like found a source for them and was ordering. And Frank Winsper had Down Hobby Shop, and he had connections with Future, and that was my classic horror, and then Future kits. That was my bread and butter. It really chewed me up and spit me out in the hobby. But the first issue of AFM, because through that meeting with Anthony, he put me in touch with Terry and then David. And first issue I was in was 13, I think, a sci-fi issue. And I was in every one of them except for one for the next like 25 plus issues or something. And then I started kind of going, every other one. So Steve was doing 2 on the ones that I wasn't.
He still is.
Yeah. But it's been a while due to some health issues and stuff. I stopped the painting of the model kits and kind of miss it, but I also have been wanting to focus on my own 2-dimensional art, so it kind of forced the hand. So
yeah, George brought up the when you and Steve were painting at in California.
Yeah, Monster Palooza. He said that remember we did his class, him and Ken's class.
Right.
Yeah, he said that was the first one. I didn't know that.
No.
Was that
I
the
remember
one?
walking in. I remember walking into that room, and they were base coating spray base coating the things in the in the glass in this little hotel like what do you call them, little the
it was
smallest
just
of
small meeting room. Yeah, it was scary.
And it was just walked in there and it's like, oh God, take it outside, guys.
Yeah, he said he had a picture of the thing with the mask on it, I think.
Yeah. But that was a fun class. And before that, Steve and I had done several classes at Wonderfest.
Yeah, it's Wonderfest. Yeah, we used to do that.
And then I took over your spot, Steve.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And you got to do you went solo. That's what happened.
Well, first you did one with Joe, didn't you?
I did one with Joe and never came back.
Yeah. Well, the first is funny because the first couple were unorganized completely. It was just it was kind of in that little room off the restaurant, and it was like dark and dingy. Not only could the audience not see what you were doing, but you couldn't see what you were doing, Yep. And they were just kind of, the first two I did was just me. I had no idea. Freaking total social, anxiety issues or whatever.
It's funny how we all have that. It's except for Johansson.
Well,
he's just bipolar.
Special. Yeah, he's just special. But yeah, the first two I did, it was more of a Q&A, passed around my portfolio and let people see stuff and ask questions. And then after that, the next one, they're like, well, they started getting more organized with them. And I remember Steve and I were doing, I think it was the Miles Tevis T-Rex, or no, the Michael Trusick T-Rex bust. And so we were kind of taking turns. Steve would talk lawn painting and vice versa. And they're like, so Steve hands me the airbrush, and everybody's like at this table in the back. They're like,
I remember that.
I can't really see. Can we get a little closer? Steve's like, yeah, come around here. And then all of a sudden I start feeling like breath on the back of my neck. I'm like, I turn around and there's just like 100 people over and over my back. I'm like, holy cow.
That was before they added those cameras for the screens and all the.
Yep. Right. Yeah, because they started filming on like, if you guys already got the cameras in here, why don't you just get a projector? And when I did that, it was so much. It was like a professional class.
I remember I taught my first class with you. I was so nervous. Like I just.
Yeah.
And there's not enough time to get anything done like appropriately and feel good about it. And I know do you like teaching teaching for people? Cause I know you've done it at Wonderfest and then you do it on your own. You did stuff for Disney for people at Disney. And then you've done other things as well. Do you like doing that?
I love to teach. I definitely, the first 10 minutes is hard as hell for me because I just, once I break that nervous and I'm shaking in the air, I don't have to mix the paint because I'm so nervous.
I remember that. I totally, you couldn't even get it into the airbrush your hand. And this was before the medical issues. You were shaking so bad. Oh man.
That could have been the bar the night before.
Hey, yeah, it's Wonderfest.
But no, so, but once I, 5-10 minutes into it, my heart goes back to normal. Beat.
Yep. Oh but, man, how many Wonderfests have you gone to? Do you think?
So from the first one, which what difference is on, but I think it was 96. I made all the way till I went to everyone until 2003, which is when 2013, which is when I had went in the week or 2 weeks before the show. I had was diagnosed with brain cancer, and so obviously I was
way to bring us down, dude. What the hell?
What's that?
Way to bring us down. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah. Well, it was funny because the week prior to that was Steve and I were doing another class.
That's what I was saying. Was that the class? Was that the first one where when you ended up sick after, or did you do two classes?
No, California? I think we did two. In California, we did, because I went to Montepalooza twice.
So yeah, then it was the second one.
Yeah. So Steve and I think, we did the thing the first time, and then the second one, the students had a choice between the Curse of the Werewolf or just the Wolfman.
Yeah.
Chain Wolfman. So we did that, and then they did another class the second day, which I think Jeff or no, what's his name? Steve. I can't remember his name, but they had two different people and do that class, and I think they both. I mean, we had, obviously the turnout wasn't as good, but the first year they had so many tickets, they didn't have enough seats for them, and then the second year they did two, so there was half and half amount of people.
Yeah,
but those are fun.
Did you would?
But yeah, back to your original question. I love to teach once I get past that hump, and I have done some workshops with one-on-one with people, and like you said, the Disney, the group ones, and the Monster Palooza, and
Steve, what are you doing? It's like a chimpanzee took over your.
Yeah, Steve's hijacking the entertainment.
I'm sorry.
That's more like orangutan moves.
Now my phone is dying.
Oh no!
All right, Steve, get it all out for you.
All right. I'm sorry, guys.
And Dan, I didn't want to gloss over it at all, but for those of you who don't know, Dan was diagnosed right shortly after, like when you got back, right? From that show in California? Was that
right?
Left there feeling weird.
Yeah, I was flying home, red-eye flight on Sunday after the show, and Monday I went to work and my left arm was feeling all kind of screwy, and the coordination was off. I kept missing the keys on the computer, and after I went to the chiropractor, thought I pinched a nerve trying to sleep on the plane or whatever. And after a week of it, I was thinking, okay, I need to go. And my wife Rhonda and daughter were like, we're going to the hospital right now. So Sunday morning, we went to the emergency room, and it's like go through a scan and come out, and they're like, oh, you have a lesion on your brain. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? It's like. So
no, I'll never forget the phone when you told me. I was like, "Oh my god, Dan!" It's the type of cancer Dan has is glioblastoma. It is you don't make it like Dan's like I said in the beginning. He's a medical miracle. Like the fact that he's still here with us is like
glad to be here.
Like I don't even know how to say it. Like we're happy to have you, and we love you, man.
Well, let's put it this way: when I go to every like 3 or 4 times a year, I have to get an MRI just to make sure, because they grow pretty rapidly and they return often. And most people only live like a year and a half afterwards. I've gone 7 years and I just passed my 7-year mark, which was nice. But when I go to get my scans, the doctors are like, "So, Superman, what's your secret?" I'm like, "Oh no." But the downside of it is they don't expect you to live that long, so they radiate your brain and all this other stuff, so it's kind of dealing with the side effects of that.
Any superpowers since, or
well, I can see through clothes.
Uh-oh.
I can see your hairy nipples right now, Jason.
You don't want
You've
to
been looking through my clothes.
You've seen them before, actually.
now
that I think about it. They were. This might be the place to tell this story. I don't even know, and if Mike Wallace is listening, or we'll see this at some point, I don't care. The first year you didn't make it was the first year we had room together probably 4 times or 5 times, like a bunch of times, and then you didn't come that first year when you had got diagnosed, and so I was bummed out, like bummed the fuck out, and I drank Scott or Steve. How do you always say it?
I'm sorry.
How did that when I drank that bottle of whiskey?
I've never seen whiskey consumed that quickly. Okay. I don't think you could have poured it out of the bottle any faster.
I drank that bottle of Bulleit so fast, and then by the end of that night, it was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah.
So
put too much alcohol in your bloodstream.
I woke up, and then for people, there's only 15 people watching right now, which is probably, but this will be on there. I woke up the next morning and I walked down into the dealer's room. I get jacked with a lot at Wonderfest for some reason. I know there's Lance saying
there's reasons. There's
reasons. I get jacked.
Everybody gets jacked with.
Well, I got jacked with more than most people, I think. I really do. When people are
hurt yourself twice doing stupid shit.
Right. The sparklers, the hand cast. I know. Steve died. Oh shit. So I woke up
Where
and
am
I went down in the dealer's room, and the first person I see is Rick Cantu. I don't know if he's watching. He's been on once in a while. There's Larry Brackney saying true. And I see Rick Cantu, and he goes, "Did you sleep okay last night? Who'd you sleep with?" And I went, "What? What are you talking about?" And then it turns out, yeah, I did not sleep in the bed that I originally had started with that evening, which was the suite room. Long story short, I slept with Mike Wallace not knowing, and he was a trooper, and it was all because Dan wasn't there. So I'm blaming Dan till the end of the world.
Well, wait a minute. It's not that Jason and I slept together prior to that.
Shut up. Yes, we did.
So,
It's okay these days.
It's fine.
It's all right.
Tell everyone.
We're open to it.
Well,
the joy of that story was when I saw Mike the next morning, and I said to him, how'd it go last night? Because I think I had the room on the other side, so I went to bed earlier.
I'm still pretty convinced you went around telling everybody.
And I did after he told me.
does.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he still does.
and when I said to Mike, I said, "How'd you sleep or whatever?" I know we were kind of loud or whatever. He says, "Oh, that's fine till whatever time somebody crawled in bed with me." So, and it was Moses was the one that was in the middle with Jason, and I would have bet money it was Moses. Okay.
Nope.
And I went and found Moses. I said, "Dude, did you get in bed with Mike Wallace?" And he goes, "What are you talking about?" No. And I was like, "Uh-oh." So I said, "Do you know that fucking crazy Walker drank all that whiskey and got in bed with Mike Wallace?" Yeah.
To my defense,
he replaced you in a hurry, Dan, is what I'm saying.
To my defense, for years I've been sleeping in an actual bed in a room in Wonderfest. That time we had the suite in the center. Moses in his sleep apnea was almost dying on one side. I was drunk out of my mind, and then I have 2 hotel rooms on the side. So when I woke up to throw up, instead of going back to the suite, like floor couch thing, I went back to a bed, which I thought was mine. And it just happened to have Mr. Wallace in it. And
don't forget to mention you de-pantsed when you got in bed.
Hey,
okay.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Come on. I'm sleeping in my clothes.
Hey, when I get in bed with a dude, I'm putting another pair of pants on, but that's just me.
See, okay. I'm an open book. So anyone who's watching, I've burned my hand. Those stories will come out later, I think, but man, Dave Fisher handing me a box of sparklers was one of my Wonderfest highlights, but we'll see.
So Dan, what Wonderfest memories kind of come out to you that you remember that you know were like just maybe stand out above?
There's a lot of good ones, but I think as far as my favorite Wonderfest guest that was over there was when Ramirez is there. I'm sorry, I forget sometimes, but zombie guy, George.
Yeah, George Romero. Yeah, you're right. You had it.
Okay. But anyways, that was my favorite of the guests that were there. But as far as show memories, it's always just been, I just hanging out. I like to go. I mean, it's more of a family reunion than it is.
I agree.
Show. It's. I remember I was pretty close friends with Frank Daniels, who I'd also met through AOL, and we were sharing the table for a couple of years, and then he passed away, which kind of sucked there. And then I think the worst blow was, we were at a couple years ago when Mike Parks, who, I adore Mike Parks, who's a great guy. But
for those of you who don't know, Dan Saturday, he would never go out to dinner with us every Saturday because he would go with Mike and Danya to dinner almost every Saturday, right? Is that who you would?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there'd be a couple others, but yeah. But Mike and I usually, met them for breakfast, and you joined us. I think you and Steve both joined us sometimes.
If I made it up.
And one time they even got up super early because I usually went to work on Monday mornings or Monday, like as soon as I can get home. And so I had like the 5 or 6 a.m. flights, and even though the airport was 5 minutes away, they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll get up and take you to the airport." So I had my personal shuttle to the airport. But Mike was that last Wonderfest. He wasn't feeling well, and then it was just a couple months later that I get a call. He's he's in the hospital, and I'm like, shit. So I got on a plane, went to Ohio for a few days, and hung with Terry and George Stevenson. Went up there that same week. I was there. It's like 4 or 5 days. So had some, Mike got out of the hospital, I think the next day or so. So I was able to have a couple of good days with him, which was nice. So he was just getting into his ukulele days.
Wonderfest without Mike Parks it's not the same. It just,
no.
It's
well,
not.
When he stopped doing, I mean, it was like a big change when he just stopped showing his, selling his little Mad Lab kits.
Yeah.
It was like, what the fuck? This is all different now.
Yeah,
you know? And then it's like, it was probably a few years. I mean, it was a few years. It's kind of like, just didn't seem the same. And they were there, but I don't think they ever came into the dealer room. It's like, did somebody see Mike? Just like a little ghost come sneaking by or something.
Well, it was like you had George stop doing geometric, Mike stopped, dealing, and Janice, went out of business. So all these mainstays that were there, all of a sudden are gone.
Right. Yeah. It was a big change, and they were all right in that same area, that same corner.
Yep.
They were all like, AFM was on one side, and then going up there was, Mike, and then George was next to him. And then Janice was just down the
Janice was right on the end, right?
Walkway.
Yep.
And one day it's like, who are all these people? Except for Danny. Sirocco was always in that same spot. So.
He still is.
Yeah. Gets there about noon on Saturday and sets up by about 3:00.
Yeah. Sometimes he show up at Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. Our goal, everybody, we're going to get Dan Sirocco on here at some point in the future. The best stories. He is an amazing storyteller.
Yeah. Definitely.
One of my fun Dan Colonna stories was, Dan, it might have been the last one you were at or one of the ones you were at. He calls Jason and says, where are you guys at? And he gave him my room number. We were all at my room. And so I hear a knock on the door. And I go to look in the peek hole, and I can't see nothing. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I open the door, and there's Dan standing with his finger over the peek hole. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing covering the peek hole? And he goes, well, why are you looking out of it, you creeper? And I'm like, you're the creeper covering the peek hole. And then ever since then, we were busting balls pretty regular.
Yeah.
Dan, did you ever enter the contest at Wonderfest?
Just the first year I went. I made a future diorama. I had the B.
Yeah, you did it. You hit it that very first year.
Yeah, so that was the only year I entered. So I made a diorama with the future Bee Woman and the future Metamorphosis Addict, one or two, the Grasshopper Man. So, so I made like a landscape base and all that kind of stuff. I was always, after in the beginning it was fun just painting the things, but then it got to be more fun customizing and making the dioramas and stuff like that. So.
Do you guys want to talk about judging at all? Like, 3 of us have done it, and
I judged almost every year I was there. I judged. I had judged some other contests at different shows, but it's always tricky because there's, trying to find the best in each category, and then it's like there's a lot of times like I'm not familiar with this kit, so it's always a pretty good group. They put 2 people together, everybody goes and judges their section, but sometimes there's a kit you've never seen before, so somebody in that room is familiar with that kit, so they'll come in like kind of help you work out how much of it's customized and that, because sometimes it's not listed on their info, right. And that's always tricky, but that's always the hardest part, is just trying to find where the actual, if it's a kit you're not familiar with, where the kit ends and the customizing begins. But like I said, there was always enough people in that room that somebody knew.
I mean, judging to me, like it's hard, and not that the actual judging part is hard. It's that me ruining someone's day is hard. Like if that this person put every ounce of effort they've whatever it is, and for you to go, okay, no, that's probably a merit. And to have to actually say that and know that when that person comes up and it's a merit, like that bothered me for the longest, like it just did. And cause like, and that's the thing, and I do this with my students at school. I am more of a process guy. Like I want people to have fun doing what they're doing. I want people to experience paint, how to use tools. And then to tell somebody, go, no, that's only a merit and this is a gold. It always it weighed heavy on me. And I don't want like people who, if you're entering Wonderfest, the contest or anything, please know that every judge that was in that room at any point in time, they gave a crap. They cared. They looked at everything. And some of it was out of our hands. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Some of it was. But
one thing I will add to what you're saying, though, which is, excuse me.
Uh-oh, Mr. Popular.
Crazy Joe calling saying, hey, I'm on.
I'll kill you, mother.
Yeah.
That's the alarm to put the chickens away. But now the one thing, though, with, like you said, giving somebody a merit is kind of like, you could tell they put a lot of time into it. And it does suck to have to do that. But I also, and something I always emphasized a lot in my classes is quality is better than quantity, especially if you're going to show it. So there's a lot of people that would build 30 kits and enter all of them. And it's like, if you would have put, half that time on, or twice that time that you did on those 2 kits into one of them, you definitely would have been able to get a gold. So that's one area where, like I said, it's worth emphasizing that quality beats quantity.
I know it's a lot of years, but can you think back to like, and this is for Steve as well and Johansson, any contest entries that stand out that you were like, oh my God, that is really cool.
I'm laughing at Crazy Joe wrote, hey, eat me. So just so you know.
There's been so many really cool things. I can't.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. And I've never really I've never built any of the space, the hardware stuff, but there's been a lot of stuff over there that has really impressed me as well, that like the first year, I don't even think I paid any attention and looked at that. And then when I did, I'm like, holy crap, these things are amazing, man. It's like, it blows me away some of the stuff those guys did. But as far as the figures go, there's so many great pieces done in those categories as well. I think probably I'm a sucker for the larger scale busts, and I can't think of one in particular, but there's been some of those that have been really, really good. And there's been, of course, some great dioramas in that too. But once again, I can't think of anything that jump out.
Not to S&D, but Steve, when I would see like his dinosaurs, it was one of those things. I didn't know Steve at the time, and you see that stuff, and you're like, man, I suck like at everything.
Yeah.
And like his dinosaurs, and then Wallace's when he had the big Godzilla, the going through the city.
Yeah, through the city.
Yeah, that it was like, what the hell?
That's right. I forgot about those. And the one, the Steve, when you painted Matt Man at Sea Dragon.
Yeah.
And I saw that one. Like, did you do that for him, or was it in the contest?
It was in the contest.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the secrets of that
there,
kid?
and I'm just like, that thing is, it was such a. I mean, man, it was such an awesome sculptor. Wish he was still doing it, but yeah, your paint job on that, I was like, God damn.
That, I mean, I remember that to this. That Sea Dragon was super cool that he did.
Yeah, is my tongue bleeding yet or no?
Go ahead, Scott. Call him out.
I have a little Sea Dragon story about
There's
that.
some history for people.
So Steve shows up to my house that year. He's going to drive down with me. So he comes to Chicago. And he had sent that and a couple other entries ahead of time. So he says, yeah, I have to unbox that Sea Dragon. We have to affix it to the base. And it was a pain in the ass because it, wanted to swivel and stuff. So Steve and I drilled about, 6 holes in that thing? And we're sticking pins in there to get it to even stand. But I'm looking at this thing, and like you, Dan, I was blown away by the paint job. Okay. So what does he do? He points out to me. He says, yeah, it had a dorsal fin, on the head. And he points out to me. He says, yeah, I forgot to paint that other side of that dorsal fin. And so I had everything there. I said, well, here, do you want to paint it real quick? He goes, no, it'll be okay. I go, are you nuts? I go, and you know, I was early
That's
on.
such a Steve answer.
Yeah, but I'm looking at this going, this is a gold medal, and they're going to knock him down to a silver because he only painted half the thing, right? He goes, no, it'll be okay. Man, next thing I know, come Sunday, here he is with his gold medal for the thing. And I'm like, I want to know who judged that thing and didn't see the other half of it painted, because it's you know, that's the kind of thing you guys would have knocked it down for.
They were blown away by the front of it. Like, it didn't
back in the day, but it was so beautiful that I don't think anyone bothered to say, you know, go over the top and go, hey, did he paint the other side of that fin? You know,
that's the thing. We weren't, you know, it wasn't microscopes and dental, you know, magnifiers. You know, we just looked at the pieces from the one side. So, you know, I guess you could just.
I was in a hurry.
I was going to say, Steve, what's your side of that story? How did you forget to paint one side of a kit?
I don't know. I don't remember. But I know when I was packing it to ship it over to Scott's, I looked at it and I go, oh, shit, I didn't paint the back side of that tin. So I go, well, I'll just take care of it later. You know, I just threw it in the box.
Oh, that's awesome.
And understand, I had everything he needed to do this. It would have taken him seconds. And he's like, don't worry, it'll be fine. You know,
that's a Steve answer.
And I often wonder if the guy he sold it to ever looked at it and said, hey, what the hell? You know,
don't say that.
Yeah. Where is that guy?
Now the guy's going to notice.
Yeah. Now he's looking right now.
He's like, son of a bitch.
So you're going to be getting the dorsal fin in the mail. You finish the job.
I am fortunate enough to own one of those that Steve was gracious enough to paint, that someone gave me as a present for my birthday one year, and Steve was gracious enough to paint that. And he painted pretty close to the same way, and I am fortunate enough that I do have that.
I think in the pantheon of kits, that sea dragon is up there. That's one of the coolest things that ever came out.
Right,
it's different, that's for sure. Yeah. You know, it's
you don't see stuff like that. Matt Mannett, come back. We need you. We really do.
Yeah. Some of the other amazing things that I came out of it is, Steve is definitely, sorry Joe, it's not you, but Steve is definitely and has always been the dinosaur master.
Man, he's watching right now too. You are in so much trouble.
He just dropped his drink.
I don't care. But no, Steve, when I first saw the stuff you're doing with the dinosaurs, it's just like, wow, the way you came up with the patterns. And then you got hired by Charlie McCready to go paint those life-size dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm. You came out.
You and Anthony. Yeah, you and Anthony were doing it first, Anthony Mestis. And then you got me and who else came out there? It was Saul came out.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. So I was out there for a few weeks and very fortunate. It was fun time. It's kind of one of those once in a lifetime things to paint a 14-foot T-Rex.
Yeah.
And so thank you for that opportunity.
Oh, it was a blast, man.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah, it was fun.
Any good stories from there that you can talk about?
There's not too many because, it's like they say, you can hear the corn grow.
Right.
That's about as much.
I was going to say, a lot of that stuff has to stay there, I think.
Him and Saul used to give me a lot of shit because they would be working away and I'd just be sitting there looking at it. And I'd go, oh, God, I don't know.
Well, you'd be sitting there smoking a deck of cigarettes.
Yeah, I used to smoke pretty heavily then. And then just, all right, go. And then I'd just get up and start painting this. And I wouldn't stop for about 8 hours later and it'd be almost done. And these guys would just, Jesus, my work, or how I worked was terrible,
No, your stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was like you would do. It would take me a whole day what you could do in 8 hours, and we were usually out there like 16 hours a day. And
it was grueling and hot.
And I was gonna say, what was it? It's middle of Illinois, hot in the summer. How hot was it? It's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
Painting, smelling paint fumes, and then beer. Right.
Well, the one thing too is we did drink a lot of beer, and so we'd hang out in that shop at night drinking beer because the hotel room was pretty small. And I used to drive me nuts because I love Indian food, and the hotel was run by an Indian family, and so every night we go back, and there's no restaurants worth anything in that town.
That was at
And
Litchfield.
we go, yeah, and then get to the hotel after eating some, scrap off the street, and it's like, oh, I smell Indian food. Start ready to knock on their door. but no, it was. I remember it's like, who was that? Was it Whip? Was that his name,
Yeah.
Steve?
Whip Wilson, yeah.
Whip he was the one that would start drinking at, like, he'd be the first one in, right? And he would start drinking at by 7 a.m. And he would always buy, like, a $1 a 6-pack, the cheapest beer he could find. And so he would buy that, and I'd buy, good beer. And what I didn't finish the night before, I'd put it in the refrigerator. He'd come in, and Whip is putting down the last bottle of it. And then he's going to the store and buying his, like, 50 cents a can stuff or a 6-pack. But yeah, it was interesting.
In case you didn't know, he's no longer with us, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
I think, what was that, about a year ago, Steve? Whip passed away?
Yeah, Whip passed away.
Yeah.
Man.
The best thing about Whip was that his name is Whip Wilson, and his older brother is named Whip Wilson. And I used to tell her, I said, well, what the hell?
Wait, what? Really?
Why are you guys both named Whip? And he goes, well, he's Whip 1 and I'm Whip 2.
God damn Illinois.
One's WHIP and the other one's WIP.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, Dan, you ever going to come back to Wonderfest? That's my question. Do you think you'll ever come back?
I'd like to. I'd like to see everybody. Last year I didn't make it because I was in Italy. The year before I was there. And
you're having to pretty much stay away from crowds because of, like, you don't want to get the virus and stuff.
Yeah, right now I don't really go into public places, and
look at him, he's up on the roof.
Yeah, look, you look like you're gonna jump.
Yeah.
Or is that a fence? Where are you?
Yeah, he's got to be careful. He don't want the coronavirus. Okay,
that's right.
The corona.
So yeah, depending on what's going on with that, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see if October. Hopefully, it goes on. I'm not sure if I'll be at that one, but hopefully the following year.
That'd be good.
I'd love to see you again, Dan.
Yeah,
really would.
Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of just painting now.
You could come and see me now, Steve, without going to Florida with all the big bugs and snakes and gators and all that stuff.
Don't they have prehistoric animals in North Carolina too?
No, a lot of prehistoric people. But
for those that aren't aware, Steve is the biggest bug phobe.
I didn't know that.
Planet.
That's good.
Spiders, I do not.
And spiders especially. We should have asked Anthony about the time he caught one, and Steve was like, "Get that thing out of here right now."
Yeah,
and,
I caught it was like some kind of bee or something to let out, and he was just like, "What the hell?"
I don't know
this is
anything with wings. It's like
What it is that I live here in Colorado, and you don't have big bugs out here. You go into the Midwest or in the South, geez, they're like monsters walking around. I've never seen anything like it. It's horrible.
Yeah,
and then
awesome.
Dan's showing me pictures of lizards crawling up his wall and alligators on his nature walk, and I said, "No, I'm not."
Come on, you guys got Bigfoot up there for crying out loud.
Yeah, come on, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Bigfoot everywhere.
The Sam Squatch. So that's great, Dan. The artwork lately, you shifted more to that. Mostly, is that pretty much because you can't use an airbrush anymore, or just?
Well, it's like a combination of things because I can't do the model kits anymore, even though I sometimes get an urge to. But my hand, like my right hand, luckily. It was right side of my brain that the tumor was on. So my left hand is problematic, but I'm right-handed. So I've been pretty fortunate in that sense. However, trying to paint like the eyes on a kit and holding the thing is just not possible. And so I kind of stopped doing those for that reason. And as far as my two-dimensional work, it was for the longest time, like right after surgery, I was still able to do, like I did a lot of realism and surrealist stuff, but I like the really tight style. And it started just slipping, going away from me where I couldn't do it anymore. And it was driving me nuts. And I finally just said one day, screw it. Instead of fight it, I'm going to just roll with it. And so I just started drawing whatever, came out. And I usually just start by throwing whatever onto a piece of paper, just bury charcoal or graphite, just pounce it all over, make a mess, and then go back in and start finding little things and pick them out.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. So,
got a comment here from Crazy Joe. You guys eat me.
All right. We'll see. He's up next. So, oh God, I'm kind of terrified. I really am.
I can't believe you booked him.
Hey, got to have the Crazy Joe at some point. My inner Art Bell said, "Put Crazy Joe on. That would be good." So we'll see.
Hey, they left me on. They can have Crazy Joe for
the two of them on.
It might make your hair fall out, Jason.
I know it happened. They'll fall here, dude. You should have seen me. I was letting it grow. Not good. Not good. Dan, before we gotta go, anything you want to plug? Any websites?
I don't have a website up yet, but you can find my stuff at Colonna Fine Art on Instagram.
Okay.
And on Facebook as well, but I stay away from Facebook as much as possible.
Yeah, Colonna Fine Art on Instagram. It's really good stuff, and you do a lot of videos on there too.
Yeah, it is. Really
cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to do more videos. I want to do more like progressive things. It's just like the time. Everything I do takes 2 or 3 times longer than it used to. More frustration. But anyways, it's good. So glad to still be here. Glad to see you guys.
Yeah, we're really happy you're still here, and we miss you, man.
Yeah. Miss you, Dano.
Yeah, I am too. And although my experience wasn't the same as yours, I have a better appreciation for what you went through and still go through. And
I mean,
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here. So
yeah. Good luck with your situation, and nobody don't take anything for granted. Every minute counts.
I think that's a good message.
With kits, with whatever.
Yeah. Every minute
don't put it
count.
behind you.
Right. That's why I enjoy this quality time with Jason and Riojas.
Oh, for you.
Well, as you can see, I'm in North Carolina. Two of you are in Chicago, the other one's in Colorado, so it's not that much time.
Yeah. All right, man.
Yeah, we do have to get a reunion going sometime.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do.
All right. Well, thanks for
thanks for
guys.
joining us. Stick on.
Thanks,
I'm just
Dan.
going to stop the stream, but everybody, we're going to be back in a little bit with Crazy Joe, and we'll see you in a bit. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, everybody.
All right.